very good morning to you and welcome to Just Africa on Souk News Television. We are reaching you live from our studios in the commercial city of Lagos. I am Oyinpreye Krumale. We dissect the current shapings of African path to growth, development and global relevance rather. Today, we turn our focus to one of the continent's most vibrant and evolving sectors, hospitality in Africa, with a particular lens on the evolution of hotel management and its economic growth. Good morning once again to you and welcome to the show. Good morning, Olumide.
Good morning, Priya. How are you doing?
Very good. And it's also very, very pertinent for us to let our viewers understand because they want to ask, okay, it looks like you've been talking about hotel management, hospitality industry for quite a while consistently on your television screen. Why are you, hammering on these things? And I will not be shy to bring it to the notice of our people to let them know that one of the very, very critical ways, significant ways, a country's IGR or foreign direct investments can be, increased and enlarged is through the channel and through the conduits of the hospitality industry. Now, I don't want to refer to the dirty December because I don't want it to look like we are overflogging it. But when we spoke to other persons, when they mention the tourist attraction, when they mention some of the festivals that we have in Nigeria, whether the Calabar Festival, the Agungu Festival, the recently concluded Ojude Oba Festival, and in the Niger Delta, we have some other festivals there. And someone told me about the Eyo Festival here in Lagos and how the Nigerian, Yoruba, Brazilian relationship in the southwestern part of the country, most especially in Lagos, are going to, open the doors of our country wide for these persons to flood into our country for the purpose of these festivals. It will be something very, very good and important if we give them a treat they would never forget, because the world and the media, excluding Souk News, we have a way of selling the country out, to talk about the not so palatable things. But when you come into the country and you are welcomed and you have your first contact is with the international airports, you get here, then you check into a hotel, you want to take a very good look at the ambience, the people you meet, and these in itself should create an impression in the minds of visitors to the country to want to make sure to come again. And in other words, when they come again, what they do is they spend their money,
and
dollars,
spend more time.
the pounds, yes, and spend more time. Then they can even start considering setting up a business venture here. So, and the hospitality and hotel industry is very, very critical to this.
Thank you very much for that. Now, as of 2021, the hospitality sector, that's both the hotels, restaurants, and all that, it was valued at $41 billion. And it's projected to rise to $90 billion by 2026. And this is going to cause a whole lot of economic development for every nation that is concerned about hospitality. Now, of course, it started, hospitality in Africa started in the informal sector. It started with local, local inns. Before the pre-colonial sector, it started with local compounds, local inns and lodges. Then during the colonial era, it was actually established for pre-colonial masters and business travelers. Then post-colonial, the government started setting it up. They started investing in hospitality, started investing in hotels. And if you look at it, actually, it has actually, I said it before, that it creates, contributes economic development in such a way that it creates jobs, both in the formal sector and the informal sector. It hires, people directly and indirectly. Indirectly, it hires construction workers, food vendors, and all that too. It's actually creating a whole lot of, and also it brings about development. For instance, if there's a particular area, a hotel is there, it brings about development. Before you know it, other establishments start to come to that area. So it brings about development and estate development in a particular area. And if you look at top countries that are leading in hospitality, South Africa comes.
South Africa.
We have Morocco, we have Kenya, we have Rwanda. And one of the things they have in common is not just they have a hotel chain and luxury resorts and all that. They also invest in wildlife and culture. Wildlife, culture, tradition. They invested heavily in it. So much that, I mean, you want to go to South Africa and see the wildlife. You want to go to Rwanda. You want to go to these countries and see wildlife. Well, if you talk about wildlife in Nigeria, we have some of them. We do, but how is the management and all that? So it's a whole lot that if we actually focus on, it will actually develop and contribute a whole lot. I think about 30% of the IGR. So
excellent. Now, when we talk about the hospitality industry, it has a nexus with other industries as well. If you talk about food and beverages, we are there. Now, let's continue. Africa's hospitality story has undergone a remarkable transformation for decades. The continent was largely overlooked by major international hotel chains, with investment often deterred by perceived risks, infrastructure, and the gaps that existed therein. Political instability was part of it. However, from the early 2000s, the tides began to shift as global tourism trends diversified and Africa's economic outlook improved between 2010 and 2015. The international hotel chains begin to accelerate and they continue to expand their frontiers into the borders of the African market. These investments were not only strategic, but symbolic recognition of Africa's potential, not just as a tourism destination, but a serious market for business, hospitality, conventions, and real estate-linked tourism, the infrastructural development, and Nigeria, which is Africa's most populous and one of the populous countries in the world, became one of the destinations and the largest economy. Now, naturally, it emerged as a strategic entry point. Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, with their growing commercial sectors and oil and gas industries, Nigeria's hospitality market was valued at over $4 billion by 2023, driven by domestic and international business travels, including diaspora engagement, and a gradually improving ease of doing business. We're going to break. By the time we return from this break, we'll have someone joins us on the program to talk more about this, how it affects Africa, it affects Nigeria significantly, and its contribution to national development. It's Just Africa. We are reaching you live from our studios. It's a News Television. We'll be back in a moment. Just stay with us. Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. Today on Just Africa, we are joined by Ahmed Raza, the District Director for Nigeria at the Radisson Hotel Group, a globally recognized leader in the hospitality industry with operations in over 120 countries. Mr. Raza is a seasoned hotel executive with over 2 decades of international experience, including leadership roles across the Middle East, South Asia, and now Africa. As work in Nigeria has been instrumental in Radisson's strategic expansion with a focus on localization, operational experience, and unlocking the economic potential of hospitality investment in emerging markets. Under his leadership, Radisson has not only grown its footprint across the country, but also significantly contributed to building local talent and deepening investor confidence in the Nigerian hospitality eco space. Mr. Ahmed Raza, welcome to Super News Television.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great, welcome. Now, when we look at hotel management, for me, whilst earlier during the program, I was saying that it actually blew up when from the 2000s, 2010, 2015. So what are those things that you and your brand saw that you begin to picture Africa differently and you made Nigeria a choice destination to come start this hospitality industry? Yeah.
Well, I think as you rightly mentioned, pre-2000s, the Nigerian hospitality landscape was predominantly run by local enterprises, small, businesses. Then obviously the explosion happened where the likes of the Radisson Hotel Group, Marriott, Accor and Hilton, they came in. Now, it's a very interesting question that why did they come in?
Yes.
Obviously, the urban middle class started growing, and they were the access points to Africa in terms of the airline connections. They kind of rapidly grew, so they bring in more access points to Africa. And obviously, there's been a lot of obviously the oil and gas boom that happened in Nigeria, which is pretty much predominantly still it's something that we are looking at. So I think these were some factors that made the brands to look into that and grow the footprint, because there was a need, because there was no critical mass available at that time. And now that whoever came in, they capitalized on that position. As of today also, as we speak, the hospitality industry in Nigeria is predominantly the corporate market, which is 70% of our base business in hotels.
70%?
70%. And
in Africa?
In Africa. And 30% is obviously the leisure market. It varies from country to country. For example, a country like Kenya, where there's more leisure because of this safari industry that they have developed over the years. Places like Rwanda, they are also more or less, very aggressively promoting their tourism industry. I think we also have a huge potential, and I think in the coming years we will see that not only the focus will not only on growing corporate business, but also making sure that how do we grow the tourism aspect of the business, because that is somewhere I feel there is a little gap, and I think that needs to be addressed.
Great.
All right, thank you very much. So my question is, you operate an international hotel chain. So my question goes like this: how has the international hotel chain influenced the local hotels in terms of standard and services and practices?
Obviously, when a global player comes into the market, then obviously they become the aspiration for the local players. And which is a good thing, because obviously when we come in, we bring a lot of international SOPs, global brand standards, we bring our PMS systems, we bring our artificial intelligence-based revenue management systems. We have a very comprehensive guest feedback tracking system. So these are some things that, when they come into the operational field, people look up to it. And then obviously what happens is that it brings together this influx of knowledge that, now the local resource which is in the market, they kind of get exposed to this, this set of skills. I'll give you an example. The Radisson Hotel Group, normally, we run academies globally in different parts of the world, and where we send our local resources to get trained. Now that we have seen that we are growing our footprint, now we are 5 hotels, we are aspiring to be 10 hotels by 2027. So we will be running almost 2,000 guest rooms. So we will need to develop talent. And now what we have done is that the Radisson Academy is now coming to Nigeria on a yearly basis to train our people. And these are professionals coming in from Belgium, Dubai, South Africa, so that, we can give the adequate exposure to our people, because at the end of the day, running 2,000 rooms or 10 hotels, it will be run by our people in Nigeria.
So, if I may ask, what were the turning points or key factors that helped shape the growth of hospitality in Africa and with Nigeria as focus?
Well, as you know, still tourism brings 4% of the GDP. So that is still a number that we can see how we can grow that. So what has really fueled it is the fact that, obviously the infrastructure was very weak to begin with when we started. So obviously there is a huge opportunity. And like I said, when we saw the oil and gas boom in Nigeria, and we see all the likes of ExxonMobil, Shell, and British Petroleum, everyone moving in, so the infrastructure was not really there to support those demands. So now the international chains have seen this opportunity, and they can come in and capitalize on that. And it's just not about, and now it's a time to grow also. So you will see most of the chains are now vouching for expansion, and that is why we are seeing how aggressively the Radisson Hotel Group is trying to expand. And you know, in Abuja also, that's a great market. And that is where we are also, you'll see our hotel opening up in 2027. We're also going to be opening a hotel next year in Benin City.
Wow.
So
Great.
that's where we see a lot of opportunity, you know.
Great.
Because you see, Benin City also tells a story. The historical value of that place. You must have heard of the art you know,
the
museum that we have
yes.
opened over there, you know, and
Oh, okay, wait a minute. You opened art museum again in Benin, or the domiciled
yeah, the
local art
domicile.
museum? Okay.
Yes. So that is what I'm saying, that, you know, the opportunities are great.
Yes.
And we see a lot of potential. That is why people are, you know, more or less, you know, making these investments towards Africa, and particularly Nigeria, which is a driving force in the economy, in the global hospitality scene.
Great. When you were answering my questions first time, you talked about the establishment of an academy, and I understand the relevance of that, because you cannot have global prominent people come into the space after they've had experiences across the world on the way they are treated when they go to different hospitality facilities, and when they come here, they should meet a set of people that have the manpower,
Yes.
the capacity to be able to handle their demands, and I like that. But how would you assess government involvement? Do you think we have explored our hospitality industry as a whole in our country, in Nigeria, and reference to other African countries in such a way that it could contribute more than the 4% you talked about in terms of GDP to the growth of our economy? And government intervention, where would you advise that government pay more attention in its intervention?
Well, I think because I've been here for almost a decade now, so I've seen that there has been a lot of progression when it comes to the government you know, structure for hospitality. I think they're taking it more seriously. And I think one place where I feel there's a serious gap is that, you know, we have not really tapped the tourism aspect of Nigeria. We have not really aggressively, you know, went to promote. And obviously, when you promote, you also have to have the adequate infrastructure to support that.
Yes.
I think that is one area where there is a serious need. I think apart from that, the adequate support from the government has been there. Like I said, it is still in a stage where it's developing.
Yeah.
For example, you know, there are various training institutes that are now being you know, funded by the government. We see some local talent coming in from there. We are making a commitment to take this talent in, train them, you know, and make sure that they have aspiring careers when they move on. So I think that is one area where I feel that the tourism segment, you know, that needs a little push. And apart from that, you know, the private sector is willing to invest and make sure that we have the adequate facilities in order to, you know, feed into this demand of tourism.
So one more. The thing is this. I am glad that you're moving to Benin, because my question is going to be, you are most seen in places like Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, because these places are seen as the foremost cities when you are outside Nigeria. Why? Moving to Benin is okay. What about Kebbi State? I know there's a park in Abeokuta, in Ogun State. Yes, but what about other states like Ondo State? What about some other states? Do you think the prospects that should attract conglomerate like your brand is not located in those places?
Look, to be honest, our teams are exploring opportunities as far as even Kano.
Kano, yes.
Yes, so because we see that, you know, there is a serious gap in these places when it comes to, you know, top quality, you know, hotel structures. So definitely, as we speak, obviously it's too early for me to reveal anything, but till we don't really do the formal signings. But there is you know, we have a business development team that comes in every year to explore these opportunities. You'll be surprised to see that how many people actually reach out to us in order to make these investments, and they're willing to make these investments. These are private investors.
Yes.
And you know, all these places that you have mentioned, they are under our radar at the moment. But obviously, you know, one thing is to just sign a property, but what we are into is to sign and make sure that it sees the end of the day. You know, because you must have noticed that so many promises are made, so many hotel signings are done, but they don't really see the light of the day. That is something that we shy away from, that, we have to do a proper, research and a proper, an analysis before we make a decision and make sure that, we have made the right decision.
Great.
All right, thank you very much. Now, you've had more than a decade experience in hospitality. So my question is, how are African-owned hotel brands, how are they competing or collaborating with global chains? Do you see an opportunity? What are the benefits?
Well, let me tell you this, because obviously when we have been operating this, these flagship hotels in Nigeria, and when we see the results, I can tell you with 100% confidence that we are competing on a global level. Obviously, we have some gaps when it comes to supply chains. We have some, limitations on that. But as far as the service deliveries are concerned, the experiences are concerned, let me give you an example. There's a tool that we use which is called the Global Review Index. And obviously, all the guest reviews that are fed in through Booking.com, TripAdvisor, Google, when we do an analysis of it, Nigeria in particular rates in the top 90, 95s when it comes to, and it compares to the other parts of Middle East and Africa and Asia. So that shows that the average traveler is getting a good experience over here. Well, another reason for that might be that, we are able to have a lot more labor at display. And obviously then we have the service levels are different. Obviously when you go to Europe, the service levels are a little limited because of the restraints that they have. But again, that we compete. If someone tells you that we are not really competing on that level, then that is not a correct representation.
Right. So one more question. If you look at South Africa, Kenya, Rwanda, they also focus on wildlife, safari. I know you talked about Benin opening an art museum. So how do you think you can come in, because Nigeria is known for its rich culture and heritage. So what opportunities do you think lies there?
Well, I've been speaking on this on different forums that I think, our friend mentioned over here that what the government can do. I feel that all of us who are operating within Nigeria, I've been here for a decade, we have a responsibility to also promote the soft image of Nigeria. And I think it has a really fabulous story to tell. Our art, our music over the last 10 years has gone global. Our art is being discussed all over the world. I see all these art fests that are happening in England, in the US. People are talking about Nigerian art. So I think when people are talking about us, I think we who are on ground should also do our part. And where we come in is that we are aggressively promoting it on all our social media platforms. You will see a lot of other hotel chains also more or less, singing the same story, because obviously this is what we are about in Nigeria, that, we celebrate people, we have a rich culture, and again, we just have to, we are helping break that perspective, that, when we come in, that it's a weak infrastructure, safety, security, there's nothing like that. People come in, they have a great time, and yes, it has a lot to offer.
Great.
Yeah.
I am glad you are hearing that from Mr. Ahmed Raza, hearing from us that, all the things you talk about, insecurity and all of that, there's nothing like that. You come in, you have a great time. But you know what? The conversation continues. We'll go on a break. And when we return, we will be speaking about the ease of doing business in Nigeria, most especially within the confines of what we're already talking about, the evolution of hotel management and the hospitality industry. And we'll be asking Mr. Ahmed Raza, if we as a country or Africa as a continent has taken advantage of its festivals, the festivities, to attract the globe and the world down to this place. Because when that happens, the hospitality industry blew up to another level. It's still Souk News Television. We're going to break. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us. Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. We've been having conversation with Ahmed Raza. He's the District Director, Nigeria, Radisson Hotel Group. And we are talking about the evolution of hotel management, specifically the hospitality industry. Welcome once again to the program.
Thank you.
Yes. When we went on the break, I was telling them when we cut back, we'll be talking about the ease of doing business. You know, when we move around Lagos and we see the edifice of your brand, it's something that, you know, has a very strong attraction. And everyone, when they are coming into the country, I'm sure because of your online presence, those are one of the, we see the display of the rooms and we begin to think, oh yes, they are in business and they are doing good. So how would you rate and assess, you know, the ease of doing business? What sort of bottlenecks or challenges do you encounter in running such a big enterprise?
Well, obviously, that process has seen an evolution. You know, obviously, when we started, you know, there were challenges like, yeah, just to name a few, that there's a lot of dependence on importation.
Dependent on importation.
So obviously, over the period of 10 years, we have more or less, you know, made inroads into the local supply system, and we have managed to create the you know, local supply chains that can now feed into our demands.
Yeah.
So our dependence is reducing now on importation.
Okay.
So this is something that happens over a period of time. So this also gives us immense pride because now we have managed to create these local communities that can now work. And you know, we are establishing an industry within an industry. So this is one of the challenges. Again, I think one of the major challenges every operator experiences is the lack of availability of trained human resource.
Yes.
And I think over the period of years, that is also still work in progress, but now you will find more or less, you know, trained resources available in the market, because obviously the brands have played their part in making sure that all the standard operating procedures, all the brand standards that they bring to the table, that they are giving adequate training to their people. So I think, yes, you know, dependency on importation, lack of you know, availability of trained human resource, and yes, again, like I just mentioned before the break, to fight this perception about safety and security, that was also now not that much.
Okay.
We managed to, you know, break that barrier. So I think these are just some examples of you know, the bottlenecks that
All right.
that
So
we experience.
when I was looking you up on the online, I saw that you also had an expertise and you also had some form of, you know, specialization in food and beverage. So talk to us. You've been in Nigeria for 10 years, if not more. And you're talking about importation, how you've been able to depend on the local supply chain. How is it coming for the food, Nigerian food, and how we have those who come in from abroad get used to this food, or did you just stick to the foreign continental?
No, actually what we've managed to do is that, you know, look, I think one of the most important aspects of running a business in Nigeria is the fact that we have to blend the local flavors into the business. Now, it can be in terms of design, it has to be in terms of food and beverage. The overall experience has to have that local flavor into it. Like, so that, you know, when the international traveler comes in, he gets a sense of the brand experience that he is expecting, but he also gets a local flavor, because, you know, that really brings the wow element to it. Now, coming back to the food and beverage aspect, you know, people who are traveling, they love to try the local cuisine. Obviously, we try to maintain a balance between continental and local. Now, like I said, you know, over the last 10 years, the supply chains have matured. They have, you know, come to a level where things are readily available. I'm sure you guys are all aware that in the last 10 years, the standalone restaurant scene in Lagos has just exploded.
Sure.
Now, you talk about Japanese cuisine, you talk about Korean, you talk about Italian, Greek, you find everything. And not just find them, but they are running on a very top class level. So that is something very, you know, heartening to see, because obviously when things like this happen, it always creates a great, you know, soft image for the country.
Yes.
And it shows that the people are ready to, you know, accept new challenges and new, you know, experiences. The average Nigerian traveler has a lot of exposure now, and it does not accept mediocrity anymore. So they are now geared towards excellence, and that really drives the market to be to be performing at the optimum level.
Great.
All right, thank you very much. So my question now is, what are the major challenges and, of course, opportunities for investors in going into the hospitality business in Africa? And secondly, when you look at Nigeria, Nigeria is still short on infrastructure gaps and all that. So how do these infrastructure deficits, like transportation, like electricity, internet, how do they impact the hotel development and, of course, the guest experience?
Well, yes, you know, rightly said, when an investor is making an investment, I think we don't also want to shy away from the fact that, yes, we do have challenges when it comes to running an operation. You know, last year, let's take an example. When the exchange rate was just rapidly, you know, jumping around, it was a challenge. The heat, light, power expenses were just going off over the roof. You know, repairs and maintenance can cost a lot, and the fact that, just the fact that if the economic environment is not friendly, it can put a toll on the investor, because then, you know, a lot of uncertainty comes with it. So I think that is something that still work needs to be done on that. But the good news is that we have seen a more stable environment this year when it comes to the economic conditions. As far as the, you know, the exchange rate is concerned, or, you know, the gas prices are concerned. So that brings a certain level of confidence. And as far as the investor confidence is concerned, so I think these are some good indicators that the brands that are already operating, obviously their performance also gives them some heart, because, you know, yes, the demand has been more or less consistent. I think we all need to know that post-COVID, this was one market, Nigeria, that had rapidly gotten, you know, bounced back to the pre-COVID levels of 2019 in terms of occupancy, demand. So, you know, that gives investor a lot of confidence. And, you know, in the last couple of years also, the evolution that we have seen in occupancy levels gives us a lot of heart. I'll give you a very small example. I think you guys are missing out on Dirty December. And the fact that how much revenue it brings in. You know, Dirty December alone brings in $71.6 million into the country, out of which 44 million is spread across the different hotels. Now, this is keeping in fact that we are not really running on maximum, you know, levels when it comes to the, you know, because we have limitations. Hotel rooms are quickly, you know, rapidly filling up, and then people are going to the Airbnb model. So there is still a lot to be, you know, there's a lot to desire here in terms of that.
All right, thank you very much. Now, one thing I see is this: manpower development, which the academy you talked about is great. But given the population of Nigeria, and when you look at other aspects, the youth population, it looks as if that idea of your academy may not be able to do it alone. So in terms of education and manpower capacity development, do you think in our education system we need to inculcate that hospitality management into like the education curricula in our system? Do you see that? Is that in Pakistan, or is that in India, or some other places you've been to?
You see, if I speak from my heart, you know, the problem is places like Pakistan, India, you know, it has taken a long time for us to accept hospitality as a profession. So, you know, so having it as a curriculum also, there's a thought, you know, there has been a journey for us to, I'll give you my example. When I came into Pakistan after doing my hospitality course from the US, people will ask me in a joking way that, okay, what have you studied? I said hospitality. I said, no, but what have you studied? You know.
Oh, you studied hospitality.
Yeah, I studied hospitality.
Great.
So I think that mindset has changed. And to give you an example, you're absolutely right. The academy alone cannot, you know, feed into that demand. So there are some really good schools that are operating as we speak. Hospitality schools within Lagos, within Nigeria, that are now breeding this talent and making sure that they get the adequate information, they have the adequate resources. We are tying up with them so that, whenever this batch is ready,
Yes.
so we take them in, train them, and, if opportunity arises, we also hire them. And if all of us as operators, play our part, then we will develop this, pool of talent into future leaders. And that is exactly the route that we are taking.
Okay. Okay. So now this my question borders down to maybe the capital markets. If we look at Nigerian business and economic space, we have a very limited amount of companies that are listed in the market, and we are less than 200. And it's not quite easy looking and seeing or identifying so many or even very few hospitality companies in there. Why haven't your company listed in the Nigerian capital market or the Nigerian forex market?
Well, I think to answer that question, obviously, again, like I said, we are in the process, because obviously we have, it's been 10 years and we are still testing the waters, and we are just making our inroads into it. I don't think so in terms of volume and in terms of the scale. I think we have gotten there yet as a company. I think, and that is what we are aspiring towards.
Okay.
Increasing the footprint, increasing the brand portfolio. Like right now you see the Radisson Blue, you see the Parkin, you see the Radisson. Now it's time to get into the premium brand, the Radisson collection. You will see the Radisson Red and VI in a couple of years. So once that the portfolio increases and the economies of scales increases, then obviously this then leads to that aspect of what you are saying, going into stock and all that.
Great.
All right, thank you very much. So my question is, apart from infrastructure deficit, apart from instability, which cities or regions do you consider or are currently hospitality investment hotspots in Nigeria?
Well, yes, like, we mentioned over here that, yes, at the moment, the flashpoints are always going to be Lagos and Abuja. Because obviously that's where a lot of, we always have to track where the airlines are more or less, coming in.
Domicile,
And
yes.
Nigeria, Lagos definitely takes the cake on that. And so, yes, so that's why every investor is more or less geared towards Lagos and Abuja. And I still feel with all the investments happening, whenever a new hotel is announced, obviously there's a sense of curiosity, there's a sense of anxiety that, how will it cannibalize the other hotels? It doesn't. It kind of elevates the other hotels, because when a new brand comes in or a new hotel opens, it creates more demand in the market. And when more demand comes in, overall the market, it goes up. Like I said, I have been tracking the last 5 to 10 years since 5 years since COVID, and I've seen that the demand patterns are just increasing. They're not decreasing. Obviously, yes, when we get setbacks economically, we do see a temporary shutdown, but then it quickly bounces back, and that is the beauty of operating over here.
Great. So now, in running this enterprise, have you had some level of conflict, some form of conflict rather, and friction with the regulatory authorities? Are you faring with the regulatory authorities? Do you think they're doing a good job? Or in your meeting with them, how was your experience like? And what are the areas that you would like to, for them to give more attention to?
That's a tricky question, but anyway, no, but obviously yes, you sometimes do have your moments, but I think if I have to give an answer based on my overall experience, I think we tend to take a very supportive stand with them. We cooperate with the local bodies where we feel that we can give them valuable information, where we feel that they don't have the adequate understanding. We kind of, in a very diplomatic way, we manage that relationship. But overall, I feel that most of the regulatory bodies are now, they have evolved in the last 10 years, and now they have the adequate information to regulate on the levels that they're doing right now. And yes, I think we work hand in hand with them. And I feel that, like I said, I don't really see them as a roadblock. I see them as a support system.
Okay.
And all of us, operating here should have the same mindset. And yes, we work hand in hand, and that I think more or less contributes to our success.
All right.
All right, so my final question, I know he asked something relating to food, but my question goes like this. How are you integrating local culture, food, art into the guest experience, to create some sort of competitive edge?
Yes. Well, again, like I said, you walk into the Radisson Blue Anchorage Hotel in VI, you will see the design elements speaking the culture. When you walk into the bar and open our menu, you will see that there's that the food is speaking to you. So that is the design elements in the rooms. The artwork that we have used, and thanks to the ownership at the hotel, they have a really strong eye for this. So I think that is exactly how we maintain that balance. Because you see, it shouldn't be a case where anyone walks into the Radisson in Lagos and he doesn't get the feel of it, he or she, and it just is a hotel in Dubai. No, it has to have that local flair in it. So like I said, it all starts when we are perceiving the hotel, when the design team is working. So all those things have to be incorporated in the soul of the hotel. So that is how we do it.
Great. And now this is last question, and it's going to be personal. You've been here for a decade or more, and when I was looking you up, also I saw you were with the Finland ambassador to Nigeria, and you welcomed her to Radisson Blue, and the kind of experience she equally honest by herself. She spoke about the experience she had there, and I like that. So, what's your best local meal? Is it amala and the wedu, begri, or pounded yam, or the Nigerian jollof rice? Which one gets to you?
Or
which
the bangasu?
Okay, I think so. Let me make it very clear over here that Nigeria has the best jollof rice. So let's kill that discussion.
Great.
I hope you can hear that. Yes.
So, and obviously my favorites are the pepper soup any time of the day, the chicken suya any time of the year, pounded yam. And you see, I've been here professionally for a decade, but I grew up as a child over here. So I've had my experiences with the food for a long time. So so I'm pretty much integrated into the culture and the system, so I understand. Yes.
Thank you so much. Mr. Ahmed Raza is the district director in Nigeria, Radisson Hotel Group. Many thanks for coming to Souk News once again. We had a great conversation. Yes. And this is where we will draw the curtain on our conversation this morning. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at Souk News Television. I am Oyinpreye Krumale. Good morning to you once again. Many thanks for watching.
And it's been a pleasure watching Souk News, watching Just Africa. Please don't forget to follow us, like, and share. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Souk News Television. I am Olumide Shukoya. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks for watching.